we are getting priced out of life. So we need all the help we can get, and that includes you. Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you what I picked up from my local food bank. Now, every single food bank is different. Some of them are really struggling and don't have enough food to go around. And then other ones have an abundance of food and they don't have enough people coming to hand out all the food, and it ends up getting wasted. And with grocery prices right now, there's a lot of us that are struggling. Those of us that are working, both of me and my husband work, but we still utilize our local food bank because it helps us cut down on our grocery bill. And then the money that we save from not having to buy said groceries goes to our electric bill, goes to the kids' programs, goes to whatever we might need to help us through that month. And there is nothing wrong with doing that, especially if you have a food bank that has an abundance of food. So if you or someone you know is needing help with food, I have resources listed down below if you need a place to start to find the closest food bank to you. So with that said, I'm going to show you what I received from mine. This one that I'm going to, it has two different pickups. It has a weekly pickup and a monthly pickup. So when you go monthly, you get monthly and weekly, but then every week you go, you just get the weekly stuff. So in this video, I'm breaking it up into the two different, the week and the month, so you can kind of see the difference and what you get more of when you get the once a month pickup. All right guys, so let's get into it and I'll show you what I got. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carolina. I live in Montana. I do a lot of pantry cooking, budget shopping, and product reviews on my channel. If that's the kind of content you're into, I hope you'd consider subscribing. I'd love to get to know you. So let's get into it and I'll show you what I received from my local food bank this month. All right, let's do our desserts first. We got some pumpkin cake here. Don't mind the cat. Spooks off the table. Pumpkin cake here and some pumpkin spice bites. They let us take 3. And then we got a giant snowman cookie cake. It's gonna have all the sugar and all the red 40. Kids are gonna love it. And then they had some salad kits. I picked the cheddar ranch. I think that looks pretty good. 2 things of fruit, melon spears, which is cantaloupe, and pineapple chunks. I got 5 oranges, a bag of brown sugar. Then they had a bunch of extra bread that you could pick however much you wanted. So I got 3 of these solid French loaves as well as a garlic bread. And then inside I picked out a sourdough garlic bread loaf here. This one's kind of flat, so it's a little interesting what to do with that. I think that would make good sandwich bread because sometimes super thick bread is hard to eat a sandwich. And then I got these Kaiser rolls because these also make great like turkey sandwiches and stuff. So I got one of those. And then they had a bunch of popcorn, so we got a bag of popcorn. Kids are probably going to have this for a snack when they get home with the fruit. We did, in fact, use it for a snack, so I was able to get 2 snacks out of it by splitting it in half. And then for those oranges, I always like to cut the tip off when I slice them because it has that white pit in there and sometimes the seeds, and it's easier for the kids to eat if you can just trim that. So I do that right after I wedge it. I just cut that little slither off. And then I also have some apples here that I was able to get from the store, so I'm gonna slice some of those up too because some of the kids like apples more than oranges. But thanks to the food bank, I was able to give my kids a really healthy after school snack. And then they threw all this kinds of stuff. I told them I cooked, so they threw everything at me. I was like, all right. So this is potato, let's see, it says it on the back, how to pronounce it, lefse, and it's kind of like a potato bread that's a wrap. So they gave me 2 of these, $12.99 for 10 of them. That seems like quite expensive. So I'm excited to be able to give these a try because it's not something I normally would buy. And then they had egg rolls, so they gave me a pack of egg rolls. You can throw anything in an egg roll. And then a pack of carb control wraps, which is nice for net carbs. This would be really good for me or husband for breakfast. And then a pack of white corn tortillas as well. And then I got 1 gallon of 2% milk. They gave us these noodles too. Milky noodles, it looks like. So it's kind of just like chow mein noodles. That'll be fun to make a good dinner. Easy fun Chinese dinner. A dozen eggs. I got this thing of ghee, which is clarified butter. So that's really good for cooking in, especially if you have something that's high heat, because that's a good smoking point to it. A pack of mini carrots, an onion, Here's some fresh mozzarella balls. Those look kind of cool. And then I got 4 things of yogurt. 3 black cherry and 1 blueberry. Didn't think applesauce here, just one random one. So this on the table is what you'd get roughly when you go once a week for your weekly pickup. Now let me show you what you get when you go for your monthly pickup. All right, everybody, I'm gonna show you the rest of this. Is what you get once a month in addition to the once a week. I ended up with 3 things of applesauce. And remember, this is different every time. You never know what you're gonna get. You never know what they're gonna have an abundance of. 3 things of granola bars. They gave me an all-natural soap, which this is great. I don't even use store-bought soap anymore. I just use the soap I get from the food bank. 1 pack of cranberries. We also got some yellow corn tortillas. Got a pack of salt. Oh, a marble. And then I got 2 Ziplocs of sugar. Now, once again, this is one where I kind of like that. This is portioned. Like, you can show that's half a cup of salt. That's kind of cool. I've never seen that Ziploc bag before. Anyway, squirrel. It's nice that this food bank does portion stuff. They also have coffee sometimes. And I don't mind getting portions like this. So I went ahead and got that. And then spicy bean dip. This is another one. I got a bean dip last time as well. But this one, the Best By date is the 26th of November, 2024. Now this is a Best By, not a you're gonna die by. So lots of times food is still good for years past the Best By date. So keep that in mind. Here is a little guide to the different labels, what they say and what they mean, and when you can use that food buy. So I'm looking forward to finding a way to use that. I do love Taco Bell bean stuff. And then we got a half gallon of apple juice. And then a pack of sugar-free Jell-O. Also 0 sugar chocolate chips. My husband's boss recently gave us a goodie basket for Christmas, and he is a diabetic, so I think I'm going to make him some 0 sugar chocolate chip cookies with this. I think that would be great for him. I got a pound of dried black beans. This is craisins here. So dried craisins. I got 2 or 3 of these packets of premium white chicken. This is like canned chicken, but it's in a pouch. I got 1 thing of light ranch as well as a thing of ketchup, not pictured here. I got 2 cans of cream of mushroom and 1 can of tomato. You get to pick what kind of soups you want. You just tell them. There is also chicken noodle and vegetable as a choice. I usually always get cream of mushroom and tomato though, because those are kind of our favorite soups. And then they also gave me this, which is a roasted red pepper and tomato soup. This is really good, so I got that as well. If you have the opportunity to give this soup a try, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely delicious and you really don't have to add anything to it. I just used Chef Mike to heat it up for a couple of minutes. And then with these potato wraps, I put them on like a tortilla and just kind of used them that way. And then I spread some cheddar cheese on there. So I'm kind of doing like a cheese wrap. So kind of like a grilled cheese to go with the tomato soup. But I thought this worked really well. It kind of reminded me of a Taco Bell cheesy roll-up. The kids really liked it and they used it to dip in the soup instead of a grilled cheese, so it worked and it did its purpose. So I hope that you give this soup a try if you have the opportunity. It is fantastic. And then for the veggies, I got 1 can of green beans, 1 can of peas, a can of cream corn, and a can of diced potatoes. And then I also got a quart of chicken broth. I got these fettuccine noodles. Those look pretty cool. As well as a pack of thin spaghetti. And then we got a thing of grape jelly and then a giant thing of peanut butter. I've discovered they give me this big size every time that I go to the once a month pickup. And this usually lasts us the whole month. So it's good to know that my peanut butter needs are met by going to the food bank. And then we got a thing of pancake mix. This is good Wheat Montana brand, 7 grain with flaxseed. So I look forward to making some pancakes soon. Don't mind the cat. We got 3 packs of this microwave mac and cheese. This is actually Kraft brand. So usually I do the ones in the tub. I'm sure these are just as good though. So we got 2 of those. Spooks, get out of here. All right, and then we got 1 thing of shells and cheese, 2 things of macaroni, and then also got this is kind of like Hamburger Helper, lasagna brand, or lasagna flavored. They gave me lots of ramen noodles. I usually always get about 9 ramen noodles. I ended up with 10 this time. Ooh, this one's a roast beef flavor. That's interesting. Haven't seen that before. So I'm always looking for ways to use up ramen noodles. And then for cereal, we got this pack of Rice Krispies, and then a giant size thing of regular Cheerios. We also got some fun Halloween Frankenstein one that we already put to use. And then they gave me a cake mix, German chocolate, with a thing of chocolate frosting. Yum yum. Beans, you can pick what kind you need, and I usually use refried beans and black beans the most. So I got 2 cans of black beans, a can of refried beans, and then they also threw in a big can of Bush's baked beans. So that's yummy. They also gave me 3 cans of this Armor chili with beans. I got 2 things of toilet paper, 1 thing of saltines. I ended up with 2 things of bread. For the fruit, I got a can of diced pears, a can of applesauce, a can of diced peaches. And then for the tomatoes, I got a can of diced tomatoes as well as a big can of crushed. And then I ended up with 3 cans of tomato sauce. And then they gave me 2 cans of this roasted garlic and onion pasta sauce. This looks pretty good. So that is all the dry goods I got. Now let me show you the meat. I want to show you guys the frozen stuff that I got. They handed out this bag of green onions. Now this particular food bank does portion stuff in Ziploc bags and hand it out. So I find that interesting. But I went ahead and accepted this. I'm actually going to cook it with the meat that I got, which I got 2 things of fresh pork chorizo, which I'm going to cook. And then I'm going to cook it with the ground beef. I got 2 of these. So I'm just going to cook both of these probably together and mix them up. And then we'll have chorizo and pork mixture for cooking. So that's the meat that I got. All the food that I received from the food bank is so helpful. It helps me be able to feed my kids better than just SpaghettiOs and bologna that we grew up on if we didn't have enough money. This still gives me the option of not putting my kids' health in jeopardy by being able to use food that normally would have been thrown out or is donated by farmers in the local community. So if you need food, please consider going to your local food bank. There's nothing wrong with being part of the working poor and needing help too. So please look into it. I think that you would be surprised how many people actually go. This topic isn't talked about enough. There's a lot of stigma behind utilizing a food bank and who gets to go, who gets to benefit from it. And I think there's a lot of stereotypes out there that kind of needs to stop. Like, that's not how it works anymore. There's a lot of people who are a working family that need help too, especially with these ever-rising costs. It's going to be a very rough year, so there should be no shame in going and getting yourself some food for you and your family. All right, now I'm going to be cooking some of the food that I received, starting with that chorizo and the beef. So let's get in the kitchen, let's get it mixed up, and then I'm going to use it for several different meals. So let's go check it out. I'm going to cook the green onions first, just to get them thawed and get some flavor in them. So I'm going to put a plop of bacon grease down. You could use any kind of fat you'd like though. And then I'm going to go ahead and put them in from frozen. The ice will melt into water, it'll evaporate, it'll cook off, so it'll be completely fine. So I'm going to get that cooking in my skillet while I mix together my meats. Now I decided to just do 1 thing of ground chorizo to 2 things of ground beef. So that left me 1 pound of ground chorizo left I can use for something else. So once this is all mixed and incorporated, I'm going to add my green onions. I think it would have been better to add the green onions to the ground mixture and then mix it up, but I also just poured it on top and mixed it that way. Whatever works. I mean, I'm using a spoon. I find that's a good way to get the ground beef mixed up nice and small and get it broken up, because it can be kind of big chunks if you don't break it up. So I just use that. It works out well for me. And then after it's done cooking, I'm going to get that strained off. You can keep cooking it until that grease evaporates, but sometimes it's better just to get it scraped off. And then I'm going to cook that in batches just to kind of help get it caramelized a little bit and get that sear that we're looking for. So I'm going to do half of it at a time because that was quite a lot of meat for that pan. And then I'm going to add the seasoning, which is just a little bit of the everything but the elote seasoning. This is trying to get this used up. So I have a lot of spices, so I'm trying to focus on one at a time to get them kind of consolidated a little bit. So once that's cooked, I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to be using this all week. So this is kind of like my protein that I'm pre-cooking, and then we're going to use this for meals. And it's kind of nice to have that meat already cooked up, because then it's easy to just throw something together and you don't have to worry about having to ground your beef all the time. To me, having cooked ground beef or even just a bunch of cooked chicken in the fridge ready to go is very helpful for your week of cooking. It helps get one of the hard stages already done and over with. So I'm going to take a taste of it, and this was delicious. So let's go ahead and get to using this. That meat was super tasty. I love the combination of chorizo mixed in with anything. A couple of weeks ago, I made a chorizo and pork meatloaf. Oh, I swear it was the best meatloaf I have ever made. I will have that video linked down below if you're looking for a good meatloaf recipe. So now that our protein is made up, now if this is something that you're wanting to do and kind of prep your meals in advance, or at least prep your protein in advance, it is usually good for up to 5 days in your fridge. So this is something where you could cook this on the weekend or Sunday or Monday, whenever you usually meal prep or plan your meal for the week. If you like to menu plan, then get this cooked up, and it's good for a good 5 days. So if you need to cook up more to be able to use it, then do that. All right, so now that we got the meat cooked up, let's make some tasty dinner. Let's see what I made. All right, everybody, for tonight's dinner, I'm going to utilize the pasta sauce that I got from the food bank, plus some ramen noodles, my chorizo beef onion mixture I had made, and then I have some Mexican cheese here. I saw on Pinterest this, what is it, a ramen noodle lasagna. I thought that looked super fun, and you know what, let's give it a try. Now it usually has ricotta and mozzarella cheese. I'm going to be using this Mexican 4 cheese because it's what I got. Let me just open one can for now, because I'm just going to be using an 8x8. All the recipes I saw did not say to put any sauce in the bottom, but I feel like that would help, or also have like a crunchy bottom. And no one likes a crunchy bottom. The house started to get a little loud after this, so we will switch to a voiceover. So what I did was I put 4 packs of ramen noodles on top of that sauce. I am glad that I added that. I was trying to see if I could break them up or break them in half, but that didn't work without them crumbling. So I just left them as is, put them on top there. And then I also saw that you need to put the seasoning on top of the noodles. I ended up putting it on later, but that was the ideal time to put on just 1 packet of the seasoning. And then I ended up using the rest of that can. I spread it around to make sure all of the noodles were covered, because I figured this is going to be the sauce that's going to cook the noodles. And then I'm going to put some of the meat mixture that we made on top there. And then that's when I added the seasoning, because I forgot to add it to the noodles. But I just did 1 of those seasoning packets. That is enough. And then I opened up that other can and put that on top as well. So I ended up using both cans, 4 packs of ramen noodles, and probably about half a pound of meat, not very much at all. And then I have some Mexican cheese in the fridge. I got that for sale at Super One. So I'm going to put that on top. I also am going to put some Italian seasoning though, because I think just adding a little bit of that to any kind of tomato dish really just adds an extra pop to it, especially from a can, you know, it just adds a little extra flavor. So once you put your layer on cheese, mozzarella would have been ideal, but like I said, I got the Mexican cheese. I threw that in the oven, and now I'm going to spruce up my garlic bread simply by adding dried parsley to it. Most of it is seasoned and it's garlicky enough, but I just like that addition of green to it. You know, the Italian seasoning also would have been a good idea to put that on top as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up in strips. I was using a chef's knife and I was having a hard time gripping and cutting. That's why it's knives difference, and I have a serrated knife. Works much better with bread because it helps grab the bread and tear through it without ripping it and smushing it, you know, like a smooth knife would do. So once we got that bread off, I'm going to pull the ramen noodle lasagna out of the oven, and I'm just seeing if it's cooked. I'm like, all right, let's see how this worked. And it worked. The noodles got nice and cooked. It wasn't too saucy, so it could probably even do for a little more sauce if you would like. I don't know if I would necessarily make this again. It seemed like a lot of work. It ended up baking for about 45 minutes when you could just, you know, cook the noodles and then mix everything all together. So, but it was fun, and I'm definitely interested in trying some more TikTok recipes or whatever. And then to serve it up, we have a little salad on the side here with cucumbers, lettuce, carrots, and I put some cheese on there. And then we used the light ranch that we got from our food bank. So that is what we had for dinner, and it was pretty good. The kids ate it, but like I said, I'm not too sure if I would make it again, but it was definitely tasty. For this next dinner, I'm going to be making something pretty quickly. I'm going to be using the ghee that we got, and that's going to be my fat for a roux. I'm going to mix that with some raw flour. This is just all-purpose flour. I have found that this works the best. I have tried substituting with like whole wheat flour, and white flour just seems to work better. So that's what I'm using, and this is called a roux. So you want to let the flour cook for about a minute to get that taste out, the raw flour taste out, and it'll turn a little golden brown, and that's how you know when it is done. Exactly, pretty much a minute. You can set a timer if you would like. And then we are going to add the chicken stock that we got to this. So we are going to be making a chicken gravy. If you were to add beef stock, this would be beef gravy. If you were to add milk, this would be a creamy gravy, you know. So what liquid you add makes a difference to what kind of gravy. You can add tomato juice and make a tomato gravy. So those are just some different options. I'm going to be making the chicken gravy to go with the meat that we made, and then in the glass mixing bowl there, I'm going to be adding some instant mashed potatoes, just the packet of those Idaho potatoes. I'm going to put that in the microwave for 30 seconds and then let it sit there for a little bit till it comes all together. And then as we focus back on our gravy, this is when I'm going to season it. So I'm going to add a good chunk of pepper. Peppered gravy is always really good. And then I did add salt as well. And then you always want to make sure that you're tasting your food, that it tastes good. You don't want to make something and then realize as you're eating it that it doesn't, that you put too much salt or something. So make sure you're tasting as you go. I mean, that's the worst part of being the cook, right? Is you got to taste the food. Oh my goodness. So I added a little butter to the mashed potatoes to kind of cream that up and make it, you know, taste more like homemade mashed potatoes. You could also add some cream to that or some milk. That would help as well. And then I added 1 small can of mushrooms to the gravy because we really like mushrooms in our family. So I did that. And then I heated up a little bit of the meat mixture. I ended up having to do more. That was only enough for 2 bowls. But I got the mashed potatoes on the bottom of the bowl and then the meat mixture there. And then we are going to be adding the chicken mushroom gravy that we made to the top of it. And this is kind of just like a, you know, a stacked bowl. I kind of take inspiration from like KFC's chicken bowl and then just use it by adding different proteins. So that's what we had for dinner. For this last meal, I'm going kind of Chinese inspired with these noodles that I got. I also was able to pick up this discount salad mix at Walmart, but it was cabbage, so it's going to go really well with our lo mein noodles. And then I'm also going to make some egg rolls. So I have a little bit of our meat mixture left. I'm going to dice it up a little smaller so it can go a little further. And then I'm going to use the salad mix as my veggie filler. It's got cabbage, red cabbage, carrots, kale, so all things that cook really well. I'm going to mix that in with the mixture that I cut up with the beef and the chorizo. And then I'm going to get this cooked up on the skillet. I did add a little bit of ghee to kind of use it for a fat to kind of get the veggies cooking. And then while those are going, I'm going to be making my sauce for the stir fry. I'm going to be using some soy sauce, kind of just things that I have in my kitchen that are Asian based. Lots of times they put honey or brown sugar in these kind of sauces, so I did a scoop of honey. And then I also had some oyster sauce that I had in my fridge, which is usually in Asian sauces, and then I also had some fish sauce. Now neither of those have oysters or fish in them. That's just kind of what it's called because you use that for those types of items. So I'm not actually putting fish sauce in there, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's going to help thicken it up. I did end up having to add a little bit more soy sauce. Now I'm adding sesame oil to this. Now I learned in my old video when I made my Chinese buffet that the sesame oil is better for garnishing than for cooking with, but it is okay to put it in with the sauce. So that's what I added with some sesame oil. And then I'm going to take half of this mixture out of the pan because we are going to use that as our egg roll stuffing. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to put the noodles on top. Now that this is over, I probably should have heated up the noodles in some way before adding them. I just put them in cold right on top of the meat mixture. I ended up switching to tongs because that worked a little better with the noodles. The pan's overflowing. I know, but I got it to work and I ended up mixing it all up. I probably should have used a deeper pot now that I'm thinking about it, but we make it work. I just got to clean it up later. So I'm going to pour the sauce on top of it, and again, the sauce ended up not being quite enough, so I would have doubled that next time, or you could have added some chicken stock to that. That would have helped make the sauce go a little further without adding more of the soy sauce and all the super flavorful ingredients, So that's a way to kind of stretch the sauce out. And if you make it where it's too intense, then you can add that chicken stock and stuff will help tone down the flavor. Ended up working out though, and it was really good. So once I got it all mixed up and kind of heated up, I went ahead and put a lid on it to kind of help it steam some. And then I'm going to throw some vegetable oil in that back cast iron skillet, and we're going to shallow pan fry these egg rolls. To roll these, you're going to have your wrapper at kind of like a diagonal angle and make it look like a diamond. Put about half a cup of filling in it, and then you're going to put water around the edges. You're going to pull that top layer up from the corner and tuck it into the filling, and then you want to make sure you crease the sides there because that's going to keep your filling from coming out. So push down before you roll completely. So you're going to put your wrapper down, and then again about half a cup of filling, and then you're going to try and make it as tight as possible. And the key is to really make sure that you're tucking in the edges. So when you take that first corner and you pull it up and around, you want to make sure that it's tucked in tight because you don't want filling to fall out everywhere. So that's how we're going to do our egg rolls. I also have rolled them like a burrito before, and that worked too. And then it just takes a couple minutes on the pan frying them. I actually want to start pan frying a little more. It really doesn't take that much oil, it doesn't take that long, and everything's better when it's fried, right? So it only took a couple of minutes per side, and then it was all done. It helped that the filling was hot and ready to go. So here is our dinner, our delicious lo mein. I put some sesame seeds on there, and our fantastic egg rolls, and that's what we had for dinner. You guys, that meat mixture, I know that's kind of weird because I'm calling it a meat mixture, but it's a mixture of meat. That's what it is. It was absolutely delicious. I love having it on hand. I also used some of it mixed in with macaroni and cheese to make kind of like a cheeseburger mac, but I didn't show that. It was so nice having that already prepped and in the fridge, so I really hope that you guys give that a try. I also did that with some chicken that I got on sale. I am currently working on editing that video now, so stay tuned for that. But I do have one more meal that I was able to make out of the ingredients that I got from the food bank, and that is pizza bread. That's where you take one of your solid French loaves that aren't sliced and you cut it in half, and then you use that bread as a crust for pizza. So that's what I do, and I use my air fryer because you don't always want to heat up the oven, right? So let's get into the kitchen and let's see how I made this French loaf pizza dinner. All right, so let's cut this in half again just so it can fit in the air fryer. And I'm gonna toast 2 pieces at a time. Toast, and this thing works really fast, so I'm just gonna toast for, let's do 2 minutes, just to get it kind of crunchy, and then we'll put the sauce on it. All right, now these don't even look like they're toasted, but they are. Can you hear it? A little crunchy. You don't want too much. Let's go ahead and add our sauce on there, though. The good thing about making pizza at home is that you can literally use anything. So instead of marinara sauce here, you could have used ranch as your base. You can use Alfredo sauce. You could use barbecue sauce. You could use buffalo sauce. You know, it's kind of open to whatever you have and whatever you need to get rid of. That's the great thing about pizza. And it doesn't even have to be on a pizza dough. Look at that. All right. So we have those on there.
That looks good.
Thanks. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of cheddar cheese down. Now, if we had mozzarella cheese, this would be the time to put that. But we do have these mozzarella cheese balls we're gonna add. So, let's just kind of slice one. That'll look pretty good. And then we'll see how it turns out when it's heated up. Oh, looks pretty good. All right, let's cook one at a time just to make sure we get it right. Let's go down to bake. I'm gonna go 325 because we don't really want it too crispy. We just kind of want everything gooey. So let's do 7 minutes and then we'll check it. And then we are just going to do the same thing with this one. One last thing I like to put on my pizzas is a little sprinkle of Italian seasoning just right on top. It adds a little extra pizzazz to it. One of my kids does not prefer pepperoni on there, so we're gonna leave that off. Look at that. So it's not too crunchy. You could probably let it cook a little more if you want it even crispier. I think that might be good though for the kids. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And I'm just gonna add a couple of minutes. That was more like 5 minutes, so we'll do that. And then those should be done. And there we go, one delicious French bread pizza. Let's cut it. That's a keeper for sure. Those French bread pizzas were so good. The kids were like, Mama, what's that smell? Like, it's just, they loved it. Another thing is that I made a bunch extra and was able to freeze them before you cook them that final time. After you toast the bread though, you freeze them, so I have some freezer meals ready to go. I did put that part in a different video though, so stay tuned for that. Well guys, thank you so much for coming along, seeing what I received from my local food bank and all the meals I was able to make out of it. Once again, if you're struggling for food, please consider going. There is no shame in going, however, you might receive some. I have a couple of videos of me addressing the shaming of a working family going to the food bank, and just so you know, we don't take that. There is no shame in it. If you have a food bank that has an abundance of food, go get food. Now, not all of them are like that. Like I've said, not all countries. I've had people from Canada say if you were going to our food banks, you'd be shamed out of there. I'm like, well, they're not the same. There's food banks in the UK that people have said that have not the same, and that you have to get a recommendation from the government to go to them. Ones in Australia are the same way. So not all food banks are the same. If you have a certain image in your head of what a needy person looks like, and if you judge people if they don't fit that image, you might want to be a little more open-minded and empathetic of the world right now and the cost of living, inflation. We are getting priced out of life. So we need all the help we can get, and that includes you. So please consider going to your food bank. Once again, I have information listed down below if you need a place to start. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time on Mama Baird's.